great way to make money. Everybody's going to Vegas. You should too. On us for free. It's not just about gambling. Good food, good drink, Cirque du Soleil, Michael Jackson show, the Beatles Love show. That was amazing.
You'll want to sign in, and we'll sign in digitally here, so if you want to check in, go ahead and scan that QR code, and then our Wi-Fi and password are in the lower right corner of the screen. It's a short form to fill out. Well, good morning, my name is Wendy Taylor, and I'm in Strategic Online Marketing, and today is Million Cups. This is our weekly meeting, so I encourage you to come off and invite your friends and family. We are streaming live online on Facebook, so you can text them and tell them to tune in if they can't be here. Did everybody check in? I don't see too many thumbs, so you might have all done that. You get extra credit if you do it twice. Anybody like extra credit? I love extra credit. I ask my kids. I'm a big fan of extra credit. Okay. Yeah, okay. So a couple housekeeping items. Just if you could refrain from talking, side comments, and wait till the end, just so that the presenter has everybody's attention. If you can mute your phone also. And like I said, we are filming live on Facebook. And I encourage you to get a piece of paper out or take notes in your phone, because some of the suggestions that we give to our presenter, you may benefit from them too. Okay, maybe we need new batteries. Okay, thanks. So our host is Mega Workplace, and Pam and George are not here today, but this is the hub of business here in Eustis. So they have office space for rent. So if you're looking for office space or desk space, if you need a place to sit and do some work throughout the day, or you want to have a meeting, they do have their conference room downstairs available. So if you want to see what that looks like, you can ask Ray, myself, Monty, and we can show you what that looks like. But it's a great place to meet people, and so they do have space available. And their cards are in that corner there on the other side as you walk in.
Hey, Wendy, if I could add, hi, good morning everyone, I'm Ray Villegas with LEAD, the Lake Economic Area Development, and just to add on in terms of Mega Workplace. So LEAD, we were charged 2 years ago to bring 1 million cups to the area. So 1 million cups, this is just one of 100 plus chapters around the US. And it really, the success for this chapter in Lake County and in Eustis really would not, to me it's the most tangible example of a public-private partnership. So the public part is having City of Eustis, Lake County invest in bringing UC up to this building. As you see, the UCF incubator is downstairs. And then having George and Pam, Mega Workplace, opening up this facility really to serve, as Wendy mentioned, the hub for entrepreneurism in Lake County. So next time you see George and Pam, the success of this chapter really is just a perfect example of public-private partnership in Lake County. So that's, again, Mega Workplace, City of Eustis, Lake County, UCF coming into the area. We have the SBDC downstairs. And sorry, Wendy, if I'm stealing your thunder, but I just wanted to interject that. But again, I just wanted to point that out because it's such an exciting thing to have. Again, one of 100 chapters across the U.S., all for entrepreneurs, all to help each other, support each other, and get better. So back to you, Wendy, in the studio.
Got it. Thank you. So I'm going to have Ray talk about LEAD in just a second. Okay. So. No. So Ray is with us. Monty, they're both from LEAD, Lake Economic Area Development. Al Adner is with the City of Eustis, Economic Development Director. Marie Alberti back in the corner. She is with the City of Eustis, or with the Eustis Chamber of Commerce. Sorry. And then we've got Jermaine Coop. Where's Jermaine? Okay, he's with Lake County Economic Development, and I think I got everybody. Okay, got everybody. So, Ray, do you want to talk about LEAD? just a couple minutes and
Yeah, sure.
tell
So
people what
again,
LEAD is?
LEAD was charged as a public-private partnership to drive economic development through all of Lake County. And so really the three legs of economic development are business creation, which is entrepreneurism, business attraction, and business retention. The business creation part, the entrepreneurism, that's really where 1 Million Cups stands and shines out. Having talked to our Southeast 1 Million Cups, because there is a headquarters for 1 Million Cups based out of the Kauffman Foundation, and they said we're already one of the top performing, I guess you could say, in terms of consistent attendance for chapters throughout the Southeast. And so just, again, having this community of entrepreneurs here to learn about each other, help each other, connect, it really shows the need for that. And you're all part of that too, because 1 Million Cups is, at the end of the day, a community organization. No one owns it. Kauffman Foundation provides this beautiful swag here on the table. We'll be giving some of that away later on today. But Wendy is our organizers. We have organizers that help do this on a volunteer basis. Many of you in the room are helping out with that. So it really is all about entrepreneurs, and LEAD was very fortunate to be able to kind of put the pieces together to launch 1 Million Cups in Lake County. So again, economic development, more jobs, more wages, that really raises the wealth in Lake County, which helps us all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you have questions on LEAD or how to get involved, because you do some updates
Yep.
and such, get with Ray. And then we've got our sponsor, Scottsdale Coffee, and Legacy Financial Services. Latona, where are you? Oh, she stepped out. Okay. So thank her when you see her. So what is 1 Million Cups? So Ray gave you a little bit of information about it, but these chapters are across the U.S. and we all meet the same day each week. We all meet on Wednesdays at 9. So it's pretty cool. So if you're traveling and you've got that networking need, your family's still sleeping at this hour and you're on vacation, look up the Million Cups chapter where you're vacationing, because there's probably one not too far, so that could be cool. There's no cost to participate. It's free to present, free to come. Like I said, we meet each week and you can come and go as often as you like, but we'd love to see you here each week. And if you have a business idea or you've got another product idea that you need some help with, come talk to us, because we'd love to have you present. Did you want to say something?
Well, just as a sidebar, we had run into some people. I think I met one individual about a year ago at the Ocala chapter, and he had gone to, I think, over 40 1 Million Cups locations around the U.S. I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, his business is nationwide, global, but as he traveled around the country on business, he would stop into the 1 Million Cups. So, I mean, think about that. 40 different places around the U.S. It's probably 50 by now.
Yeah.
So.
And the closest chapter to this one here is in Orlando. So there is one. And that one keeps showing up on my Facebook feed. So I encourage you to check them all out.
We're bigger than that.
We are bigger than that. We're better than that. So if you would like to present, we'd love to have you. Just get with Ray, Monty, myself, or Jim, and we can get you started. So it's if you have a business idea or you've got a problem, it's the what's keeping you up at night. Who has what's keeping you up at night? You're lying. I know we have that. Everybody has something that's keeping you up at night. So we'd love to have you present and we'd love to help you. So come talk to us. Maybe you're looking at starting a business. Maybe you work for somebody else right now and you go, oh, I really want to start a business, but I don't know how. I don't know what I'm struggling. Come talk to us because we'd love to help you.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep interrupting here so you don't get the mic. But that, just what she said is just so important. And I mean, we've had examples of people who presented here and, the feedback they got was invaluable, and many times they weren't quite ready. Some of you might know the person that presented, and they were ready to sign a lease for a building, and they weren't ready yet in terms of they didn't know their break even. They didn't know their revenues or expenses. They hadn't thought of that, but they were so excited and so passionate about their business that they were ready to sign that lease because they saw this location that they needed to have right now. And it's like, that's, I think, the power of this group, saving those people who haven't thought things through because they don't know anything about, they've never been in business, this is their first venture. And so to be able to share the mistakes that people have had in the room, and be able to tell them, hey, I mean, I've made the general comment of, this is your first business, don't sign anything, don't spend anything. Not yet. Let's flesh it out, whether it's through the SBDC or the people in this room. Talk it through first before you make that commitment, because it's gonna save you and make you more successful in the long run.
So
That's the last thing I'm gonna say. Sorry.
You're good. Okay, so we're gonna do some giveaways. We have some nice swag up here, and Pam's dad, he's not here today, but he makes these coasters, so they're real nice. So if you would like to have a chance to win, we need you to put your name in the bucket. Amanda, do we have the bucket? Is it out on the thing? Okay, well, we'll pass that around. So make sure you put your card in. So who's here for the first time? Do we have any visitors? Okay, do you want to stand up, give us your name and company name?
Sure. So my name is Jane Sema, and I actually represent two different businesses. One is New York Life. I work out of the General Orlando and Maitland office. We do life insurance and financial planning. And then my family, on my mom and dad's side, we run Rockmore Stables, which is just up the road on 19 in Altoona. And we run 6 large international horse shows that are part of the 3-day Olympics, the sport of eventing. So we do event planning and a lot of volunteer work with that. So glad to be here.
Great, thank you. Who else? Who else is new? First timers? No? Nobody else? Are you guys?
I wasn't like prepared for this, but hello, my name is Melissa Provo. I'm with James Co Builders. We are a GC in Mount Dora. We are going to be building some things in Eustis and Lake County. We're super excited to be here and be a part of the growth.
Great, well, welcome. And would you like to introduce yourself?
She's been over here.
Oh, you've been here. Okay. You get extra credit if you want. Thank you. Anybody else? First timers? Okay, well, we encourage you to come back. Hopefully you like today's meeting. Okay, so what is 1MC, 1 Million Cups? It's presenting, not pitches. You're not going to come in and expect to be asked, can you give me money? That's not what this is about. It's connections and building relationships. Okay, we're not here to sell each other. It's a relationship type of thing. So I really encourage you, after today, get some business cards from people and go meet with them for coffee. She and I were just talking, and I said, you know what, let's get cards and let's go meet for coffee because we have some things in common. I have horses. I didn't tell you that. But anyway, so really get together with folks, and because you never know, that person may know somebody that can help you, or you may be able to help them. So I really encourage it. Meet after the meeting. Sorry. Are we there for the question of the day? Oh, we're up on social media here, so connect with us on all of these places and share our posts because we love guests. So please start following us and share our posts. We'd appreciate it. So we have a question of the day. So put your thinking caps on here. What was the driving force or inspiration behind your decision to start your own business? And how did you recognize the opportunity? Who wants to be first? Okay.
I always jump in with no experience. That's mine. I can vouch for it. Yes. If you were here last week,
What's your
you
name and
definitely know
business?
that. My name is Derek Stryker. I'm with People's Floors. What is the driving force or inspiration behind your decision to start your own business? How did you recognize the opportunity? I got into floor. I've done flooring for 20 years. This particular business, People's Floors, is a online flooring business from meeting in your home. I don't have a showroom, I have a warehouse. I bring the samples to you and you decide what you want, we schedule the installation. But I got into this business because of 20 years or previous years before this, I saw so much corruption, mistreatment of people, poor installation, people without proper insurances and bonding, and so I want to do it right. I want to be good to people, but for that to happen, I have to be good and learn for myself. So this group has been very instrumental in helping me hone in my own personal skills so I can help others. But we do flooring, we also do blinds and shutters. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Maybe you've got a lady back there. Okay.
Hi, I'm Natasha Kleinbach, and I am the founder of Wellness Wisdom. And what that is a nutrition business where I teach people how to prevent different diseases through the power of diet. And this came about because I had an awesome dad that taught me a lot about nutrition growing up and the importance of it. And I started seeing, the older I was getting, how valuable nutrition was. There was a time when I worked as a receptionist at a doctor's office, and I could look at people, see their age and see what they looked like, and tell what their choices were. I saw 105-year-old people that were healthy, that looked good, and it's because of their choices. And then I also saw people that were 35 that looked 65, and they had so many health problems. They couldn't do different things, they couldn't enjoy life. So I want to inspire others to fix their diet so that maybe one day we can have cancer and diabetes and different things like Alzheimer's be so rare in people. And it's through nutrition, and that's why I do it.
Great, thank you. Congratulations. Who else? Amanda's got the mic there.
Son and my neighbors at Lake Eustis. I started my own business because in my prior life I never got a day off. And as an older dad, I had my first kid at 37. I wanted to not miss my kids, baseball practice and everything else. So that's the best reason to be on your own, so you don't miss your kids' lives.
Very true.
I'll go ahead and go. Maria Valverde, Lake Eustis Area Chamber of Commerce. The inspiration and the force was my father. He was an entrepreneur with no business background, started his own business, expanded, and then bought a business in Eustis, Florida, and that's how I'm here now. He was the one that said, here's an opportunity, are you interested? And knowing I had that support, that background, that experience, sitting with him at the kitchen table and talking about business and how to run the business and how to be good to your employees. That's one thing that he actually did. And I was like, okay, we're jumping on it. And he said, yeah, I'll be your silent partner. I don't want to know anything. Don't come to me with any problems really, but I'll be your silent partner. And he said, eventually you'll get it on your own. And we did. So I've been here since 1979 in a business. Sold that business and made some money.
Who else?
I was just gonna say, I was kind of at a crossroads. We had made a transition down here to Florida, and I thought to myself, okay, I want to do something, but what is it that I want to do? And I looked back through all the opportunities and all the things that I've done in my life, and I thought to myself, what do people need? And you just really can't have a business without having a bookkeeper. I mean, you can, but when you go to pay your taxes, you're gonna have a really hard time. So I thought to myself, you like to do bookkeeping and you like to solve puzzles, and there's oftentimes puzzles with bookkeeping, and especially if hasn't been organized for many years. So that's why I decided. And I looked at the fact that there's just so many people, a lot of them, small businesses especially, can't afford to have an in-house bookkeeper, but a virtual bookkeeper works just perfect for them. And so that's why I started this company.
All right, great, thank you. Well, these are all good answers. Let's take one more, and then we'll move on to our presenter.
So, very quickly. Good question. And I had my personal experience. I have almost 4 years in a multinational company. I have opportunity. I grew up in Brazil, worked in Argentina, and moved to USA. But at most of the time, I doesn't have connection frequent with the customers. When we moved here from South Florida to Miami to Mount Dora, myself and my wife had an idea to be connected with the people, for local people. And we decided to open the business. The driving force was that. Interact with people, meet new people, have people meet other people, and have new friends. And honestly, it's hard to begin, but we are proud to already have some new customers that become friends, and believe that you can keep growing time over time. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, so real quick, I just want to introduce Latona. She's our food sponsor. So say hi to Latona. She had stepped out when we were talking about food sponsors. So thank you for your sponsorship. So today's format, we've got a presentation from Jeremy Valverde with Affinity Tech Solutions. He's our subject matter expert, and he's going to talk on cybersecurity. So I encourage you to take out a piece of paper and write some things down as he's talking to give him some ideas, and then take notes after of what people are saying. So welcome, Jeremy. Let's give him a warm welcome here.
Morning, everybody. Like I said, my name is Jeremy Valverde, Affinity Tech Solutions. Before I dive into the presentation, though, I do want to answer that question: what drove me into starting Affinity Tech Solutions? Because I did start it in 2015. My wife and I just celebrated our 10th anniversary. Came home from that cruise, and I didn't have a job, and she was working part-time, and went right into Affinity Tech Solutions. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My dad's been an entrepreneur. He's been a flooring installer, had his own flooring company for 40 years in 3 different states. And I always knew I wanted to do it, I just didn't have the confidence. So after I quit my last job, I was back working with my dad for a few months, and he said, you know what, you're making me work too hard, go start your own business. And that was the push I needed to get Affinity Tech Solutions off the ground, and I'm really glad that I did. So today we're going to talk about cybersecurity, and these days we can't talk about cybersecurity without compliance, so we're going to talk about the differences in both of those. Just quick information about me. Founded Affinity Tech Solutions in 2015. We have a primary focus on healthcare and HIPAA compliance. Prior to starting with Affinity Tech Solutions, I had worked as a healthcare consultant in the hospital space. I was an international technical instructor for a software company, and so that's where that healthcare background came from. I primarily grew Affinity Tech Solutions through networking and referrals for the first 5 years of my business. I would say 90% of my growth came from networking and referrals. Recently, we helped scale a local medical group. They went from 4 to 26 locations, 49 to 700 employees in 5 years, and we were 100% of their IT department through that scaling. And last year, we took them, helped them hire and train internal IT staff and turn that over to them internally because they reached that size. With my dad having worked and had his own business for the last 40 years, I do have a passion for small business. I work in enterprise, I work in companies with 10,000 plus people, and I was a number. My clients were numbers. It all came down to a bottom line, and that's not how I work. I really like to connect with my clients and really tailor solutions for them to make sure that they're successful. My business isn't successful unless their business is successful. Finally this year, I guess last year, this year, I did co-author a book, and we were #1 best-selling on Amazon for a couple of weeks, which is really cool. So Exposed to Secure, and that's all on cybersecurity and compliance. So before I dig into the meat of the presentation, the #1 argument I get from small businesses is, I'm too small for security, nobody wants to get my information. They can have my information, I don't have any money anyway, right? And so, because there's a misconception. You own a small business, so we're multimillionaires, and we have yachts and big cars and big houses. And that's not the case. If you own a small business, it's a lot of work. It takes a long time to build wealth in a small business. It's not an overnight success. And so I have 3 examples here, and these 3 examples are actually clients of mine. So these are 3 clients of mine that are right here in Central Florida. This isn't hospital systems, these are small businesses. The first one was a local dentist. They were hit with ransomware not once but twice. So the first time was a year before they became a client of mine. The second time was during onboarding. As we were transitioning them from their old provider to us, it's the most dangerous time for a small business because you're removing security and putting it back on. And there was an overlap period that they got hit for the second time. They lost no data. We had backups in place. They got up and running, but they were hit twice. Their office was down for 2 days. So you can imagine the impact to that dentist office.
Hey, Jeremy, can you get a little specific about the ransomware? Like, how does that come about?
Sure. So, who has not heard of ransomware? It's been in the news. Okay, so ransomware is an extortion. It's a kidnapping and extortion where they kidnap your computers and they extort money out of you for your data. That's what ransomware is. #1 ransomware gets into your business is through click on an email. You get an email that comes in, you click on that email, and then that gives access to your computer if the right security is in place. It encrypts your data so you can't open it. And then it gives you a nice little message that says, send us 2 or 3 Bitcoin if you want your data back. These days, ransomware has evolved, so they'll actually extort you 3 times with ransomware. The first one is your business. If you want your data back, pay us money. Whether or not you pay them, The second level is they will go to your customers and say, hey, we just ransomware them. If you want to keep your data off the dark web, we're going to make you pay money as well. So this is your vendors. This is, it could be your CPA, your lawyer's office, could be your cleaning company. If they have digital records on you, depending on the type of data, they're going to say, hey, if you want to keep your data off the dark web, pay us 2 or 3 Bitcoin. And the third level is actually to your customers. Depending on the amount of data, if they have access to your customers' data, they'll actually go after that third level as well. So it's very, very sophisticated. The second company was a local trade services company, think electrician, plumber, along those lines. They became a client because I got a call on Sunday. They were hit with ransomware. Their internal IT couldn't recover them, so we had to step in and recover them. Fast forward 2 years, they've been a client now for 2 years. I got an email from the director of operations, actually a frantic phone call. He says, I think we've been hacked. We just tried to wire $110,000 to the wrong account. And I was in the back of my mind, I'm like, I doubt you were hacked because we've got your security in place. It's not that it can't happen, it's a very small possibility. Turns out they weren't hacked. The local lawyer who they used, they had been hacked, and the wiring instructions had funneled through their office and had gotten changed. So we helped that local lawyer get their email recovered. The third one was actually a local environmental company, and this actually just happened at the end of last year. They were a break-fix client of ours. They did not have our security services. We had set their email up for them, and they started getting past due notices from their vendors. And they were like, well, this is strange. We've paid these invoices. So then when you do past due notices, it's normally like 30, 45, 60 days, depending on what your terms were. So they found out 30, 60 days later that they had wired information to the wrong accounts. It cost them $80,000 of cash that they could not recover. It was not insured. Completely gone. Lucky for them, they had the cash that they could recover from it. They do have more security now. But this was because their email did not have multi-factor authentication turned off. They decided that to get an app on their phone or a text message was too difficult to access their email, so they wanted it turned off. They didn't want to turn it on. That's what led to the breach in the first place. And that was them wiring it to the wrong accounts. So these are 3 clients of ours right here in Central Florida, small businesses. The largest company here had 28 employees. So before we move on here, I don't know if this is, which one am I going here?
I think I'm hitting it for you.
Oh, are you hitting it? Can you go back? Gotcha. So I just want you to think about in your business, and these are big numbers, 80,000, 110,000, and that may not ring true for you. I know when I started my business, if somebody pulled $1,000 out of my account, I would be freaking out because I couldn't afford to do rent, make payments, all of that good stuff, right? The numbers are unique to you. It doesn't matter if it's $500,000 or $5 million. What is that number to you that if you lost that would put your business in jeopardy? Because that's what this is all about, is protecting your business. All right, go ahead. So why do we focus on cybersecurity? Number one is to protect reputation. Right? So with our reputation in business, if my clients got an email from a hacker that said, hey, we have all of your data because Jeremy at Affinity Tech Solutions leaked it out and didn't protect it, that affects my reputation. Not just because I'm an IT company in cybersecurity, that affects a lawyer's reputation. That affects the environmental company's reputation. Because as they're trying to build their business, why do businesses trust them with their data if they're going to get breached? And it's very interesting because Home Depot got breached, Target's been breached, the IRS has been breached. Most big companies, MGM just got breached, the casinos, ransomware attack, right? Why is it different for small businesses? Because when a small business gets hit, we have those personal connections. That's what it affects. We're in the community. Very different from a big company. Number 2 is to safeguard our assets. I mean, the digital assets, our bank accounts, our proprietary information, if you have proprietary processes or information on your business. That's all important to your business. You want to protect that. That's the lifeblood of your business. So protecting your business, safeguarding your assets. And finally, ensuring compliance. How many in here take credit cards in your business? Okay. Every single person who takes a credit card is subject to PCI regulations that have changed. That is a compliance framework that has specific laws on how you document, how you handle credit card information, right? That has to be documented. So every business that accepts a credit card has regulatory compliance requirements. Florida has law for protecting personal data, PII, personal information. Obviously, healthcare, financial services, those are the big ones that have specific laws. But every business in the state of Florida, if you store data electronically on your clients, you are subject to some kind of a regulation. Okay. Types of threats. Number one is going to be data breaches. This is what we hear all the time on the news when the big companies are hit. It's all about data breaches. What happens with that data? That data is extracted from their systems, and then it is sold on the dark web. I was at a conference earlier this year. There's a dark web expert. I'm not a dark web expert. I stay off of it. But there's a dark web expert taking us through and showing us the information that was all available on the dark web. He pulled up a breach that happened at PNC Bank, and he pulled up loan applications, unredacted loan applications, hundreds, thousands of records. So if you filled out a loan application at PNC Bank before this breach had happened, your loan application was there with social security number, financial information, full names, everything you put on the loan application. Now for sale on the dark web. That's where that data goes. There is monetary value to it. Number two is going to be malware attacks. Malware attacks, this is how they get into your system. This is how they deploy ransomware. This is how they extract data. They gain that foothold is through malware attacks. Number three is phishing scams. This is the email. These are the fake emails that you see all the time. They're getting much, much better. AI with like a lot of technology is a double-edged sword, right? AI is really, really cool. If you want to know a secret, 80% of this presentation was built with AI in 5 minutes, right? Because none of this data is unique, right? So AI can be very, save me probably 6 hours worth of time building this presentation. Very, very good. AI is now used by developing countries to build emails in English that sound like they were written in English-speaking countries. Used to be, it was very easy to spot them. Now it's much more difficult. Phishing scams is still the number one way that malware ransomware is deployed in environments because it's the one link that we can't fully secure, and that is us. We cannot stop people from accessing their email. We cannot stop people from doing their jobs. So that entry point, right? It's like if you want to stop people from stealing things from your business, breaking in, you just break up every window and every door. They can't get into your building. They can't steal things, right? We can't do that because you have a business. Email's the same thing. We can't stop it. So training is very, very important. I have been subject to phishing scams. I have clicked on emails that have encrypted my computer years and years ago. Nobody is immune to it. Number four is denial of service attacks. This one's a little bit more complicated, but years ago, the whole eastern seaboard, the internet stopped working. The denial of service is where they will actually send enough requests to a website to bring it down. It will actually break your website because it gets overwhelmed. It can't keep up with the traffic. And so it's a way of masking something else that's going on. If you come into your email box and you see that you have like 300 or 400 random emails, go change all of your bank passwords immediately. What happens if you wake up one morning and all of a sudden you have an abnormally large amount of emails? Your email has probably been hacked, and they have used that to mask the fact that they're changing your bank passwords and your credit card passwords and burying that in emails. It's another form of a denial of service type of attack. Is masking it. Briefly want to just touch on some of these regulations. These are just a few. There are probably between 30 and 60 different regulations that are coming out every day. They are changing. But as far as what applies to us, the majority, HIPAA compliance is anything medical related. And if you think, hey, I'm not a doctor, this doesn't apply to me, are doctors your clients? So we serve healthcare, we serve doctor's offices. We are subject to HIPAA compliance because I need to protect the doctor's data as if I'm the doctor because we have access to it. So just because you are not that industry, if you support it and may come into contact with that information, you're required to follow that compliance framework. A big one I see all the time is office cleaners. If you clean medical offices, you may come into contact with patient information. Technically, you should be subject to HIPAA compliance and sign a business associate agreement with that. PCI DSS, we talked about that. It's credit cards. GDPR. This one's a little interesting because this is actually a European data privacy law. If you have European people who live and are residents in Europe, if you have their information in your database because they rent houses from you, they show up in your office, you are actually subject to GDPR, which is basically if they ask you to delete their information from your database, you have to completely delete it. You cannot even have a record of their name that they bought anything from you in your database is really what it comes down to. With that, it's not just GDPR that we're subject to, even though we're in Florida. Other states are now writing laws that follow their residents. The New York Shield Act and California both have regulatory laws that follow their residents. And because we're in Central Florida, we have a lot of people coming in from out of town. It's good to know who those people are and what regulatory compliance you're subject to. Florida Cybersecurity Act, I talked about that one a little bit. And then finally, FTC safeguards. If you are a financial services company or you process financial type of data. So this came out a couple years ago. It hit the auto dealerships in a big way because they do in-house financing. They collect financial data. They're now regulated by the Federal Trade Commission. If your business does internal financing where you collect bank account information or you do wire transfers specifically, you may be subject to the Federal Trade Commission. It's a lot of data, and you might be thinking, this is a lot, I'm too small for all of this compliance, it really doesn't apply, we're just too small. The reality is, the only time that compliance really comes into play is if you're breached. Small businesses are being targeted by nation states and terrorist organizations primarily because small businesses, we don't invest in cybersecurity the way that big businesses do. Think about the bookkeeper or the CPA that has been in business for 20 years and they've got 1,500, 2,000 clients' data in their systems. That is extremely valuable data to a nation state or a terrorist organization. Even though it's just one computer, one person working out of their house. Valuable data. Lawyers, another one. A lot of them, there's one lawyer working out of their house, a lot of valuable data. So it doesn't come down to the size of your organization, it's the value of the data that you're controlling. So, cybersecurity best practices. This is a very, very high level on cybersecurity best practices. I do recommend talking to somebody to build a tailored program for your business because every business is different. And I liken it to like home security. Some businesses, home security, some people, home security is the lock on the front door, the lock on the windows, and that's sufficient for them. That's their comfort level. Maybe that's all they need. Then people add in maybe an alarm system, a Ring doorbell camera. Now there are some people that have armed guards in front of their houses, right? Because they have that, they feel that they need that level of security for their safety, whether it's dictated by outside forces or internal. Every business is different. Number one is the risk assessment. That's the first step in any cybersecurity program is what risk do you have? Are you an automotive shop that only uses the computer for QuickBooks? Everything else is on paper? Or are you an automotive shop that's integrated into online systems? You have a CRM database, and then you're scheduling all of your appointments and accepting credit cards through the computer. Same industry, two levels of risk. So the one is risk. What data do you have? Where is it? How is it secured? Number two is strong passwords. Using complex and unique passwords, so utilizing a password management tool. I personally have over 300 passwords that I manage. Over the last 8 years, it has accumulated. My personal password manager has over 300 passwords for websites and applications that I've used. We manage over 3,000 passwords for our clients. Every one of those needs to be unique. Every one of those needs to be different. Because if your password for Target was the same as your password for your bank, and Target was breached and that password is now on the internet associated with your email address, guess what? They may have your password and username for your bank. That's the importance of unique passwords. And then complexity. Brute forcing passwords is the process of a computer guessing your password. If you don't use a complex password, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special characters, there are supercomputers that can brute force your password in less than a second. Multi-factor authentication on top of passwords. Multi-factor authentication, I'm sure if you do online banking, every bank requires multi-factor. That's a text to your cell phone. That's going to be an app on your phone. Multi-factor is another way of identifying you are who you are. So you have your username, your password, and something else. It's multi-factor. Employee training, number 4. The reason I put employee training in front of everything else, because it doesn't matter, like I said earlier, how much we're doing updates in our computers, how much we're doing security. Employees are the entryway into your business. Employees interact with people. The MGM casinos, it was a help desk employee that let the bad actor in. They called into the help desk and the employee gave them access over the phone. Employee training is the number one way that you can secure your business. The rest of these are more technical. Make sure your computer systems are up to date, your software is up to date. As fast as we can update it, there's somebody over there, whether they're in country or out of country, trying to get in and hack those softwares and hack the systems. So an update comes out, it's just a constant back and forth. Who's better? Security tools to monitor and protect your environment, backing up your data. If you're ransomware, if you're breached, is your data backed up so that you can recover? It's not if, it's when, and the degree of severity. And then finally, zero trust. Zero trust is something that's kind of new to the market in the next couple of years. And this is, don't trust anything, allow and review everything. So when I install this on my computer, I can't even add in a Chrome browser extension without it being approved. Right? Don't trust anything to run on the computer. And that's the latest thing that's out there. And I know I went through that pretty quickly. It's very technical. If you've got questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. So some of the resources for Florida, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, they have, cyber divisions that have, recommendations for cybersecurity information on what's going on in Florida. The Small Business Administration, the Florida Cybersecurity Council, National Institute of Standards and Technology, and then finally industry affiliation. So this is where you can just go and get more information. The first 4 are generalized, but just about every industry has an affiliation. Every one of those affiliations are coming out with cybersecurity recommendations on how to protect your data. So I would get involved and reach out to them specifically for your industry to find out what you can do. And if they don't have anything, that'd be a great recommendation for me, because I'd love to talk to them about developing that, because it's very important to get that information out there. And then just kind of in summary, from the first was just the 4 basic steps here for compliance. Develop policies. Because you tell your employees when you take a credit card over the phone, you don't write it down. If you tell them, that's not a policy. It needs to be written down, it needs to be signed, they need to acknowledge that they've read it. Because if it's not written down, and they don't acknowledge that they've read it, then you have a legal issue there if you're in a breach. Data protection, make sure you're protecting all of your sensitive data from unauthorized access. Regular audits. Because you build a compliance program today, and everything is compliant today, doesn't mean it's compliant tomorrow. Because it's secure today, doesn't mean it's secure tomorrow. I've got all of my techs in my company. I pay another company to audit my company on a monthly basis because my techs will go in and turn off their security because it makes their job easier. right? And they live in this every single day. It's a comfort level. So audit, audit, audit. Finally, incident response. Have a plan for when something bad happens in your business, and this goes beyond cybersecurity. Have a written plan. If there's a hurricane coming, how do you prepare your office? How do your employees get updates? For cybersecurity, if somebody comes in and their computer's ransomware, what should their steps be? How do you respond to that incident? Having a plan in place takes the emotion out of it and allows you to think clearly. It is a very emotional time when you go through a cyber incident as a business owner, because you see what you've built for your entire life coming to an end. That's the way it looks like. It is cataclysmic when you walk in and can't access your data and you can't service your customers the way you want to service them. We do something called a tabletop exercise where if you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, it's basically a role-playing game, right? Everybody plays a role in this game as they navigate through fictional scenarios. We do this with cybersecurity, and the first time my security team did it with me, I mean, I got choked up, like thinking about letting my clients down because I didn't prepare for something or I didn't do something right. It's a very emotional thing to go through. So have a plan. So cybersecurity and compliance is very important for businesses of every size. If you're starting your business soon, today, plan for it from the start. It's a lot easier to start with a good plan than it is to have 5, 10, 20 years of bad habits and then having to change the way everybody does business. It's a lot more difficult to do it that way. So implement best practices, stay informed, create secure and compliant environments for your business, and just protect it. It's not if, it's when, and the degree of severity. We've had 3 potential compromises come in this week already. They didn't go anywhere because they were stopped, but they were identified. All right. I think we're going to questions next.
And I'm sorry if I confused the heck out of everybody. I'm on autopilot, so I was doing our normal format. We didn't have a speaker today that we do our normal 6-minute presentation with the Q&A or the ideas after. So sorry. Anyway, so do we have questions?
My question is, if you receive an email, can you be targeted if you don't click on the link inside of the email, or just opening the email itself from an account can cause problems?
So the question was, if you receive an email and you don't click on it, can you still be harmed from it?
Well, if you click on the email,
Right,
usually
so
there's a link inside of
it.
the email.
So if you open the email but you don't click on the link?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, it is possible. Depending on how your email reader is set up, you open that email, it reads everything that's inside of that email, and that's where email tracking. If you got ready to have a call, you open an email, and next thing you know, the sales guy's calling you and says, hey, I see you just opened my email. You didn't click on anything, you opened it. There's embedded things that they can put in that email that are read at runtime, but many of the major email readers like Outlook will actually, that's where you have that trusted senders banner at the top and say, hey, it doesn't look like you know these people, do you want to go ahead and display images? When you hit that, that's when that fully loads. If those don't fully load, then it's a little bit more protection.
I try to create strong passwords, and when I do that, I probably have, just off the top of my head, at least 50 to 75 passwords for different things, personal and business. And for a lot of my accounts, if I go onto the site, my username and password automatically populate for me. Is that dangerous?
So yes, and moving into a password manager from the browser saved password. Now the browsers are getting better. So some of the browsers are now requiring you to actually log into them to access your passwords. But if you turn your computer on, log in, click on Chrome or Edge or Safari, and your passwords are automatically available, anything you have access to without putting in a password once you log in, then malware bad actors will have access to just by getting access to your session.
Okay, so then there's like a thing that says go to your Google saved passwords where you can save all your passwords or something, but isn't that just as dangerous if you save all your passwords on your computer?
It can be, yeah. So password managers that are secured through a browser plugin or a separate application have different protections in place, and you can configure them to say after 30 minutes or an hour, lock that credential store and require a password or two-factor authentication to reopen it. And so there's always a balance, and if you were going to, if the balance was have the same password for everything or write down your passwords, or use a password manager that's going to encrypt everything, and somebody may gain access to that on the internet, I'd say use a password manager to encrypt everything, because it allows you to use complex passwords and store them all. It makes you more secure, even though there is a small possibility that it's going to be breached. It's managing risk. There's more risk to use the same password or to write your passwords down where anybody can have access to them versus using a password manager that's going to encrypt it. And a password manager is not one of the ones embedded in the browser. So this is going to be your LastPassword, your 1Password, your Bitwarden. They have commercial and personal password managers. I have an app on my phone. I've got them in my browser. I've got an application installed on my computer, so no matter where I am, I have access to my passwords. And every time I create a password, it's randomly generated. I don't create it.
So with that said, what is the one that you recommend that's affordable, a password manager?
So any of the big ones are going to be good. I don't recommend LastPassword anymore. LastPassword, not that they're not a great company, but the last breach that they had, they did not handle it the way that I would have liked. They weren't as forthcoming with information. So the 1Password is a big one. Bitwarden is a good one. They've got a couple other ones out there. I personally use Bitwarden. We use that in my company along with another tool. But Bitwarden or 1Password. No matter what password manager you use, it's going to be better than creating and trying to remember them yourself or writing it down.
I have a question. So I know a lot of the things that you were talking about whenever ransomware happens, a lot of it is through emails. Out of curiosity, most businesses are using like laptops, computers. What is the difference in risk of using your phone and opening up, like let's say you open up the bad link, would it be safer on your phone or just as bad?
So it would be marginally safer. So phones, tablets have different safety protocols. Apple versus Android, they have different safety protocols, but each device is targeted. So your most susceptible devices are going to be Windows-based computers. Why? Because there's more of them. I mean, if you're going to target a market, you want to target 80% of the market. You don't want to start and target 5% of the market. So that's number one. Then you're going to go after Apple computers. Then you're going to go, actually, probably phones next, and then Apple computers last, because we have more phones. Android, lower barrier to entry, just the way that they're designed. It's nothing against Android. I've used both Android and Apple. I've developed software for both. But Apple pays more attention to the types of apps they're allowing on their store. With Android, you can have an app published in 24 hours, and then if it's reported bad, they'll take it off. So it's just different processes. But they do target devices. Apple has had breaches. Apple has had vulnerabilities on their devices. Android has. They're just lower probability.
Okay, thank you.
So I received the email, and in the email it lists a lot of my friends and their email address and password. Then the person said in the email, you have to pay a certain amount of money or else, you know, this is going to be bad for you. So I went to a few of my friends, asked them, is this your email address? Which it is. Is this your password? They're like, yes, this is their password. This is their email address. Now, what do you do with that information?
Go change your passwords and then ignore it. So go wherever that username and password is being used, your friends go change it. I wouldn't pay any money. They're going to put it on the dark web anyway. They probably pulled it off the dark web to send it to you. But don't pay the money. Just go change your passwords and check your banks and all of your accounts and make sure that they're in good shape. So that actually leads me to something I didn't include it in the presentation, but if you are subject to ransomware or something like that, but especially your business. If you get hit with ransomware, you want to work with the local FBI office and report that. There are instances where if you do pay that ransom, depending on what organization it goes to, there may be long-term repercussions in funding terrorism. There's been some talks of that through the different communities, but the FBI office wants to know what ransomwares are being used in the area. They have tools for helping to decrypt certain types of ransomware, and they want to pull those statistics. So it can be very, very embarrassing to get hit with something like that, right? It's not, again, it's an emotional situation, but please have either reach out directly to the FBI local office or have you make sure that your service provider does work with them and report that.
And we just have time for one more question here. Jeremy, will you be around after for more questions? Okay.
I was wondering if they made an insurance to mitigate that, like a light block or.
So they do have cyber liability insurance that you can get through your insurance provider and talk to your insurance provider about that. If you do get cyber liability insurance, pay very, very close attention to what they're requiring you to attest to. Because if they say, hey, do you have multi-factor authentication on all of your administrative accounts, and your firewall doesn't support it, and you said yes, and you just lied on the application, right? So we are getting reports where the insurance companies lost their shirts in 2020. They didn't know how to price this, they didn't know how to sell it properly, and they paid out way more in premiums than they had been collecting, which is why cyber liability insurance has gone through the roof, and the requirements have gotten more stringent, and claim denials have gone up. But your business insurance will not pay out for from what I understand from your gap, if you have business loss, your business loss insurance doesn't cover cyber events from what I've been told.
All right, thank you. This was awesome. So let's thank you to Jeremy. And we're running a little behind, so we'll go quick. Community announcements. Marie, you might have a couple?
Yes. Tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, the Lake Eustis Waterfront Grill is opening. They're having their ribbon cutting for their tiki bar. So if you have a boat, you want to stroll on over around 4 o'clock, you can participate in the ribbon cutting. Also on Sunday is the Hideaway Performing Arts Center at 5 o'clock. They're going to have a ribbon cutting. So that's 2 this week. Their thing is going to go from like 5 to 7. The one down at the Coco Locos is what they call it. So haven't been there yet outside, but inside the Waterfront Grill is a beautiful dining experience. So 2 ribbon cuttings, and we're just moving on to July.
And when's the next chamber meeting, Marie?
August 7th is our next breakfast. We did not have one in July. It's just too hot and too many people are out of town, so we decided to do it August 7th.
And then Ray, do you want to talk about these?
Yeah, so anyone in here ever been to a pitch competition for entrepreneurs? Well, there's this cool thing. So again, part of 1 Million Cups, part of LEAD and building entrepreneurism in Lake County and in Eustis is there's a group called Senfluence. They're called Florida High Tech Border Council. That's the graphic on the left there on the side of the screen. They're having a pitch and brew competition at the Oviedo Brewing Company. I know it's a little bit far away, but I think if this interests you, they're going to have really a dry run of pitch competitions going on. And in terms of what Senfluence is an organization funded by University of Central Florida, University of South Florida, and the University of Florida, and they drive innovation in 23 counties in all of Central Florida. So they really have their finger on the pulse of innovation around the area. And so this is an opportunity for us, to kind of see a live pitch competition. If you haven't been to one, it's really cool, just because you've got entrepreneurs pitching their business and actually looking at investors. And so the people, that's really where the rubber hits the road, right, for entrepreneurs many times, to be able to get their business started. So just an opportunity there. And Mami, if you wanted to talk a little bit about the college and career readiness.
What's the date on that?
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's
July 25th.
next Thursday.
College and Career Readiness Kickoff Event. It is where Lake County schools, guidance counselors, and career technical educators get together and meet with business the back half of their event. First half, they prepare for the next year, and it's a big pep rally. It's very exciting. I don't think there'll be cheerleaders there, but we're their cheerleaders. We're the business community integrating with what is local, what's important, what is the workforce solution to our needs is there. It starts there at Lake County Schools. So if you want to be a part of that, then please contact the lead. I think we don't have a number there, but you know who we are. We've got some information on the back table there on your way out. We've got another flyer. This is an event we're partnered with ABC of Central Florida, the Builders Association. So we'll talk about regionalism, what's going on construction-wise, what's coming to Lake County, what we have to look forward to, what are opportunities in the area, residential, commercial, industrial, multi-use building, going down to a granular level of what's needed for constructive purposes and what we already have for realtors or brokers, and then down to how we get things done. There's actually a developer and land use attorney on the panel as well. So that'd be a good one to go to. That is coming out August 8th. That's all we have. Does anyone else have any community announcements? The giveaway?
So thank you everybody for coming today. But if you hang around for a second, we're going to do a group picture up front. And come next week.
Wait.
Okay,
Make sure you don't miss that really big.
Everybody got the card and everything? All right. Jane Thomas. Jane Thomas.
She just left.
Oh, she just left.